yeah, that my bitch. Bet you the shit. I'm hard on her pics. She riding all these bitches. I'm sharing all her pictures. Hey, I'm letting the world know this my bitch. In my face what she see, yeah, I'm her biggest fan.
Hey guys, it's your girl Tier and I'm back with another video. This is the video that I've been promising you guys for the update on how I end up admitted in the hospital at 26 weeks pregnant. Yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so we're gonna start from the day that everything happened. So on June 8th of 2023, I was out, handling business, minding my business, and I was talking to my dad, and next thing you know, like if you've been pregnant before, you understand. Basically, my water broke. And I'm like, maybe I'm tripping. I'm like, this couldn't happen to me. People think that stuff can happen to them, but it's possible. Anything can happen to anybody at this point in day and age, the way the world is set up. So I'm like, maybe I'm just tripping. I'm like, it wasn't too much fluid that, broke out. So I'm like, whatever. So I go home, go to my man. I'm like, such and such happened. I'm not too sure. Because, I didn't have my water break before. And when it broke completely. So I'm like, whatever. So, I go about my business for the day. Then the evening time came to our nighttime. It happened again, but it wasn't even as much as the first time. So I'm just like, okay. Now I'm getting, it's like red flags at this point. I'm like, so I'm gonna just call my doctor and let them know, like, something's not right. 2 + 2 = 4, but this shit ain't adding up. So I give them a call, on the nurse's line, you gotta wait on them to call back. So finally they get back to me at like 11 o'clock at night on June 8th. They're like, yeah, what you're saying sounds like your water broke. We're recommending like you to come in immediately. And I kind of was having pains, and then Dad's like, yeah, you need to get up. Like, what are you doing? And I'm just in shock. Like, this can't be happening. Like, I'm only 26 weeks pregnant. Like, how come my water broke? Break. Like, what am I going to do? Like, be for real. I'm like, this just ain't happening. I'm in denial at this point, like, beyond denial. So I just break down crying. Like, I'm in just, like, distraught mode. Like, this is crazy. So by the time we make it to the hospital, it's midnight. Basically, it's June 9th almost. So we get there, they triage me, they're asking what's brought me in, whoop wop. 15 minutes into being there, they're like, yeah, you've ruptured, your water's broke. I'm like, the nurse hearing it on the phone, saying the nurse telling me like, yeah, it's a possibility your water broke, and then getting there and verbally hearing it come out of their mouth, and I only been there 15 minutes and they'd already done diagnosed me with my water being broke. I'm like, it's crazy. I cannot have this baby this early. Like, ain't nothing exciting or good about having a baby at 26 weeks. Like, and then I have the baby tracking app on my phone, and I'm all for the information. Like, I be on there reading everything. Like, I be reading the weeks that I ain't even made it to. And I remember previously reading like that his lungs wasn't even developed yet. Like, they were about to start developing like the next week I was going into. So I'm like, you need lungs to breathe. I'm like, how am I have a baby and his lungs not even developed yet? Like, I'm like, this is crazy. Like, nah, this ain't happening to me or my baby or my little family. Like, this is crazy. Like, we've been wanting him. Everything was good, flying colors, and then boom, just some crazy stuff happened. I'm like, nah, this is just not happening. It's not true. It couldn't happen to me is what I kept telling myself, but it was really happening. So, at this point, Miss Ma'am, you're admitted to the hospital. So, they take me to labor and delivery. I'm just in distraught. Basically, my body is ready to have a baby. But as them being a medical team, they're like, we don't recommend you have this baby. It's so many things that could come with having this baby this early. So they're like, we're going to have to give you this, and that. They're like, we're going to give you some magnesium. If you guys know what magnesium is, if you don't know, you are more than welcome to Google it while watching the video. It's something to basically help you and stop you from going into labor. So they gave me that, and if you've had that before, or you know anything about it, or you're in the medical field, that is by far that's not a good medication to be on. Like, it's the worst thing to be on, to be honest, like, because it's not even about the being high, like, to make the pain go away. It's the side effects that come with it. Like, you feel like you on fire. Like, and I mean fire, like, everything, from head to feet, hot fire. like head to toe, like fire, fire, fire. And I was so uncomfortable. Then with his lungs not being developed yet, they're like, we got to give you steroids to help protect his brain and to help his lungs. I'm just like, this is just crazy. This is unbelievable. So, I'm in the labor and delivery room there. They're giving me medication, giving me fluids. Doctors are coming in constantly. Baby's hooked up to the monitor. All you hear is boom, 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 his heartbeat going. They checking my vitals consistently. Then they telling me I can't eat. It just was a lot. So then as time goes on, I'm steady in pain. I'm basically contracting and I'm hurting. So they're steady like fluids. Give her fluids. I'm like, man, they're taking my blood to check like certain things that they need to know. I'm just like, this is crazy. So then they're having like doctors come in, the NICU doctors come in. Yeah, just different people. And one doctor came in like, he could have long-term health issues. He can, it could be short-term. He can have issues once he comes out. He can have long-term health issues. There's a possibility that this might not go too good to where you could possibly have a stillbirth. I'm just like, nah, just not. Just like, no way. Like, I been waiting on this baby. Like, you can't just be sitting there standing in my face telling me that I could possibly have a stillbirth. And it just was like, it's like the worst experience. Like, if you have been through it, you understand. And it's like something that I wouldn't wish upon anybody, because it's not something that you want to deal with. It's not easy to watch your partner go through it. Like, I was going through it, he was going through it. It's bad to watch how he was feeling. I don't know exactly how he was feeling watching me, but it just was not a good feeling to watch then, especially with us having kids outside of this. It's like, it's hard because we stuck in the hospital. And then it's like, that's the only person you want to be there for you, because at the end of the day, that's your partner. And nobody can compare to that, you know what I'm saying? So, they're like, we're going to admit you, and we're going to keep you until you had this baby. Now, let's rewind back. I'm only 26 weeks. A baby can go up to 40 weeks. I had my daughter at 37 and some change, or 38 and some change. I'm in my head like, until I have him, his due date ain't till September. We in June. Y'all gonna keep me for 3 months? Like, I ain't gonna come home and out a house, a car, a pot to piss in, like a job or nothing. Like, this is crazy. I'm like, wow. So then basically they got me to become stable. So they moved me to, it's called antepartum. It's like mothers that aren't progressing with labor, but there's a possible chance in the next hour, the next few hours, the next day, you can be in labor. So we're going to keep you. It's literally next to the birthing. And it's like labor and delivery and antepartum. So they take me over there and they admit me on that side and put me in a room. So I'm doing fine. Next thing you know, they getting red flags basically. Oh, we're going to move her back over to labor and delivery. Let's give her some more drugs. Stop her from going into labor. I'm just like, this is crazy. Like, this just can't be happening. Like, I just don't understand. Like, how... It's like I just didn't know how to feel. It's like my emotions was all over the place. It was just, I was a nervous wreck. So then I'm curious, because it's like at this point they're telling me like it's a possibility you might have to have a C-section because baby is not head first. If you do go into labor, we're going to have to cut you. And I'm like, that's something I personally never wanted to deal with. Shout out to you moms that do have C-sections, because I've never had to get no surgeries. I've never been cut. I'm like, I don't know how to feel about none of this. So time goes on. I'm just like, I'm telling dad, like, I do not want to have a C-section. I'm scared. Like, I'm just a nervous wreck. Like, I don't know what to expect. Because one minute I'm stable, the next minute they think that it's like, possibly might have a baby. I'm like, I don't know. So we go back. We went from labor to antepartum, back to labor, back to antepartum. And now I'm becoming stable, but I am having pains, but they're controlling them with these medications that they're giving me. At this point, they're not taking me back to labor and delivery. So as time goes on, it's been like 3.5 days. I was in there for a total of 8 days. So at this point, I'm kind of stable, but they're monitoring my vitals, they're monitoring the baby's heart and what he has going on. And they end up saying, we're going to give you another dose of a steroid to help strengthen his lungs even more. Now, they only can give me 2 doses of that. They gave me one when I first got there. And like a day or 2 later, they gave me another one because I kept going back and forth from department to department because there was a possibility that he was going to come. So when they gave me the second set of steroids, that was the worst shot I've ever had in my arm. Like, it hurted so bad. Like, it's like I don't even want to stare at a needle no more. Like, I've never been poked in my life so much. And then, like, when I've had IVs, like, they've went in here. For this particular reason, they were going in this part of my arm. Like, I got so many pokes in both arms. Like, I felt like a needle dummy doll. I'm just like, this is crazy. So day 7 came. Toward the evening, the doctors would come in. And mind you, while I'm in these rooms, doctors are coming in and out at any time. We'll be asleep. They'll come in at 4 in the morning, 6 in the morning, and wake you up. Like, we got to check your vitals. We need your blood. Picture getting woke up at 4 in the morning and getting poked because they need your blood. I'm half asleep like this. Like, that is by far the most disturbing thing I've ever dealt with. Like, the whole situation was beyond disturbing. But it's like, it's just crazy. You come in with a blood pressure cuff, get my blood pressure. I'm half asleep, getting my temperature. I'm just like, this is, I didn't sign up for this part. So on day 7, the 3 doctors came into my room and they're like, okay, you've been kind of stable for a couple days. Like, you haven't had too much going on. And I wasn't really leaking fluid anymore. It was really the fluid that I leaked, basically my water breaking fluid, that brought me into the hospital, but I wasn't consistently leaking. Like, I wasn't progressing. Like, I wasn't dilating on the outside, the inside. My cervix was closed. They kept checking that, and y'all know cervix checks. Hold up. Give me a minute. So they were doing that, and it wasn't giving. Like, I'm not progressing in toward labor, but I'm having these contractions and these pains. So I'm like, okay, I just don't know. Like, they don't even really know at this point. Like, they're just like, we just got to keep you. So that was making me upset because it's like, you're keeping me, but y'all don't know exactly what's going on. I'm not progressing into labor. So on day 7, they're like, the 3 doctors are like, well, we have a potential idea what we can do to figure out if you are progressing or anything going into labor. And if not, you're able to be released from the hospital to go home. And if you are still progressing toward labor, we're going to have to keep you until you have them. So I'm just hoping. Dad said he's praying. I'm just like, oh, I just hope that this goes right. But this procedure comes with risk. So it's like, do I want to attempt this procedure and risk certain things, or do I just want to stay in this hospital? And it's like, mentally, I'm like, no, I can't just keep sitting here. Like, I've never been admitted to the hospital a day in my life. So I'm like, okay, I'm willing to do this procedure to see what happens. Now, me not knowing too much about it, and they making it sound, they saying it's not a easy procedure, but they not going too in depth about it, like how it was when it got done. Moral of the story, they didn't really tell me. They're like, oh, you're just gonna cramp a little bit when we go in, that's it. The doctors be lying, I tell you. They be making stuff sound so good, because baby, it wasn't nothing like what they was explaining. So they're like, just Google it, watch a YouTube video. You know, I'm in the hospital room watching. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Like, just dwell on getting poked with a needle in your stomach. Okay, cool. You've been poked with a needle in your stomach. But think and dwell on getting poked in with a needle in your stomach and you have a baby inside of you. Be for real. Be fucking for real. Because me, I'm overthinking. And baby, I don't think I ever had anxiety until that point. I'm like, nah, this just ain't for me. But I'm like, I gotta try it to see what happens, because I just can't keep sitting in this hospital. Like, I'm not gonna make it. So they're like, yeah, we're gonna do this procedure. It's called a amnio ultrasound. And if you know, you know. And if not, you know, hey, Google got everything you need to find out. An amnio, if I'm saying it right, amnio ultrasound, AMNIO ultrasound. Okay, back to the video. You know, the kid came in here and interrupted. You know how kids are. So yeah, if you guys want to know more about that, it's the amnio ultrasound. So they're like, we're gonna put some blue dye. We're gonna go into your belly, and we're gonna insert some blue dye in there. And if you're leaking it, we're gonna make you wear a pad or a tampon. And if you're still leaking, your water's breaking slowly, whatever, basically, or you're still leaking, we're gonna know, because you're gonna leak out blue fluid. I'm like, okay. But I just really didn't really understand it. Because when I looked up the video, it looked like they were going through your belly button. And I'm just in my head like, oh, he don't like the thought of that. He hurt. He balling up in my stomach. I know, baby. He's like, they're like, well, we're not going to go in your belly button. So how you getting that stuff in my stomach? They're like, we're going to go on one of the other sides. I said the belly button was already bad, but now you want to poke my little pretty stomach? I don't even have stretch marks. Like, what are you talking about? So I'm really not knowing what to expect. Like, I'm just so scared. So they're like, yeah, and basically moral of the story, and while we're poking you and inserting this blue dye into your amniotic fluid, we're going to have an ultrasound going while we do it. So comes day 8. It's time to go to the ultrasound, part of the building of the hospital, to get this done. We on our way down there. I'm nervous. We sitting outside the ultrasound room. I'm really nervous. We get in the room. They didn't set the stuff up until they brought me down and put me inside of the ultrasound room. And this is the ultrasound room where I just go get my regular ultrasound. So, you know, this lady's rambling through this bucket. She's pulling out all these different utensils and stuff. Oh, he do not like this. So they're like, yeah, we're just getting prepared for it. I see this little needle. If you like been to school, you know, little needles that they use to take your blood out your arm, I'm seeing them in little plastic packs and secured for safety of not getting contaminated. I'm like, oh, that needle ain't nothing. Like, you know, they talking about the needle's not that long, just don't pay attention. I'm like, oh, the needles are like this big. Once they set up and was ready to start, baby, the doctor, she comes up to on the side of me. It's a doctor on one side of the bed and it's another one over here. And then there's an ultrasound technician right here. Baby, the doctor on this side, she had a needle about this motherfucking long. And I'm like, where is this going? For real? Where are you putting that? Like, and then in my head, like I said, I'm an overthinker. And at this point, I didn't discover what anxiety is at this point. Like, I am beyond, like, mentally fucked up. I'm like, okay, so you're going to stick that long needle inside of me. And my son don't sit still for nobody, not even me. You would think he had ADHD already or something. Like, he just real hyper. So in my head, I'm like, you're going to stick that needle in there and hope that my baby don't move and get in the way and you stab him, and then what? And what was even worse, too, is when they first took me in the room, baby girl came in with a clipboard, with a paper and a pen. You know what time that means. That means we need consent to do this procedure. So if anything goes wrong, you cannot sue us, you cannot blame us, and we are not at fault for anything that happens to you or your child. And she's like, I just need you to sign this. And I just looked at Dad like, like y'all left that out of the... I thought I gave y'all consent upstairs when y'all asked me the day before when y'all scheduled the appointment. So she just basically, the ultrasound technician, she rushes me. She's like, just sign right here. I'm not just signing this. It's like signing me and my baby's life over to you, because there is a possibility something can go wrong. Like, what are you talking about? I'm got to read what it's talking about, all the risk. I'm reading this before I put my name on here. I read it, you know, I read over it before I gave it to her and I signed it. And I just was real frustrated at this point. Then they made me put my hands behind my head. They're like, do not move. I'm just like, oh my gosh. So as much as I'm upset, I'm in distraught, and my anxiety is over 1 million. I'm like, you can't move, Tiara. You have to sit still, because if you move, you don't know what's going to happen. And then I seen the needle, like I said, it's like this long. I'm like, oh my God. So now they're scanning my stomach with the ultrasound machine. They're trying to find out which side is good. And my man's is in the way. So they 1 minute they say, oh, we're going to do it on this side, is good. They're like, oh no, we got a better pocket over here. Oh no, okay, we're just going to go in on the left side. So she take the little scanner for the ultrasound machine. She start rubbing against me to move him out the way. And I'm just like, what if he get back in the way? So eventually, you know, and mind you, I wasn't numbed. I didn't know what to expect. She started poking me with the needle, y'all. When I say my body started cramping, like it went into my thigh, my right thigh, I was like, I'll never have a kid again. Like, I already from the day of June 8th, I already felt like I didn't want to have no more kids, because this is too much mentally and emotionally. I'm good. This is too much. Because, baby, this was supposed to be a flying colors pregnancy, but I'm in here losing my mind. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, Tiara, just try to stay still. But the more they went on with the procedure, the worse pain I was in. And like I said, they only told me I was going to cramp when they went right, as soon as they went in. I cramped the whole time and after. I ain't on no medication. I'm not numb. I'm just feeling this pain. And then, you know what? Let's see. Because, baby, y'all see, can y'all see it? My little boo-boo from them poking me. And when I say that needle, she went in with that needle and went in and down, and then they weren't in the right spot at first, so she had to keep moving it. I'm like, no. And then, no. Like, give her, no. I'm like, oh, no, baby. I'm like, and there's no turning back now. Like, you're in it at this point. Like, you can't just... And I'm like, oh, my God. Next thing you know, tears start rolling. I'm silently crying and dying inside. Like, I'm trying to breathe. I'm like this, like, crying, biting my lip. Like, I'm literally about to lose my shit. And I can't hold this man's hand. Like, I got to stay like this. I'm like, oh, my God. Holy shit. I'm like, you know you done fucked up, right? So then they're like, we're almost done. You're not almost done because you're not done. The fuck? I want to get out of here. Like, I'm ready to run out of the hospital at this point. Like, I don't even care. So next thing you know, like, they made it seem like the procedure was going to take 10 minutes. We was on there for like fucking 30 minutes. So then, like, my muscles started to cramp up as they did it. And Dad said my muscle was straight like this. He said my muscles start cramping up, and that's the pain that I was feeling. And I'm just like, you know you lying, right? There's no way that this feels the way it feels. Like, y'all did not explain this to me. I wouldn't even did this. So next thing you know, the lady picks up the blue dye. They insert it inside of me, and they're done. Now, mind you, they said you're going to wear a pad or a tampon to see if you leak. And they're like, we're going to come check on you after this procedure. After we take you upstairs, we're going to check on you in like an hour. I'm like, okay, but it's like one requirement after we're done is we need you to squat, do this, jump up and down shit for a week here and walk. Mind you, I ain't walked in like 8 days because they've been basically making me sit down because they don't want me to go in labor because, you know, when you walk, you go into labor. So my legs don't even know what it feel like to walk at this point. I'm like, whatever. So then they're done with the procedure. And, like, I was in the worst pain that I could bear. Like, the ultrasound technician would not get out of the room. Like, both of the doctors then left and everything. And I'm just waiting on her to get out. And as soon as she left, I lost it. Like, I lost it. I couldn't even put my clothes back on. That's how much pain I was in. And she's like, all right, the doctor's talking about, are you okay? Are you hurting? Do it look like I'm okay, bitch? I am dying. Like, this hurts. These ain't even cramps. Like, period cramps. Like, I'm at this point, I feel like I'm contracting. And then the worst thing was, they was like, it's a possibility you're not in labor or your water's not ruptured or broken. She's like, but with us doing this procedure, we can potentially break your water and make you go into labor. So all this hard work for nothing. For nothing. It was just mentally too much for me. And I ain't never been through nothing like that. Like I said, I ain't never had no major surgeries. I ain't even broke an arm before nor a leg. Like, come on now. And they never been admitted to the hospital. Like, this is beyond overwhelming. And then it's like, not only am I thinking about me, I'm thinking about him. And it's like, bro, I want my baby. Like, this can't be happening. Like, this is too much. I'm trying to do what's best for him to try to see what's going on. So, you know, I go back. They take me back up to my room. And they keep asking me, am I okay? Do I look fucking okay? Like, I'm fucking crying. I'm fucking hurting. So, an hour goes past after the procedure. They come back and check. You know, I walked up the hallways. I walked around in my room. I did a couple squats, you know. And it's time to check this, you know, this pad or this tampon to see if there's blue fluid on it. And I'm just like, little man, baby, if there's blue dye on this thing, we can't go home. We're not even going to know what home is when we leave. We ain't going to have one. We got it, basically. She's looking at it. The doctor's observing this thing to see if there's blue dye on it. she asked his dad, she's like, do you see any blue dye? He's like, nah. Boy, when I said that boy was as white as it was when they gave it to me, I said, thank you, Lord. She's like, you can go home. Boy, I wanted to run the fuck up out of there. Like, y'all don't even understand. Like, he do not like me telling this story. And it's crazy that I had to experience it. Like, it's not something that nobody ever wants to experience. I kid you not. And they end up showing me the NICU because they're convincing me that I'm going to have this baby early and my baby's going to have to stay at the NICU. And I asked them, like, you know, y'all take me to see how the NICU look? Because I ain't never dealt with nothing like this. And I never seen no baby in a NICU other than on the internet. I need to see this shit in person to believe it. Like, I need to mentally and emotionally prepare myself. I don't want to just go straight in, like, going to visit my baby in the NICU and be like, oh my God, like, you know, I want to look crazy. So I'm like, I want to be able to see. So they're like, yeah, we definitely can take you guys up there to see. They took me up there, baby. I wanted to run up out of there as soon as they took me up there because the air smells so goddamn clean on that floor. Like, it didn't even make sense. And then this lady, not even this lady, a nurse was there. And she had, it was a little girl. The parents wasn't there. And she flipped that baby so dang hard. I said, ain't no way I could leave my baby up here. And I think he felt my emotions and my anxiety when I went up there. He like, maybe I'm going to just stay inside of my mommy a little longer because I don't want to come here either. And I was just so grateful when they told me I can go home. And she's like, you know, we're going to get you out of here by the middle of the evening, but we got to make you an appointment to your OB. Because she's like, when's your next OB appointment? I'm like, to be honest, it's too far out. I said, I personally would want to go to the doctor's a little bit before that. She's like, okay, so I'm going to make you an appointment and then we're going to get you out of here. But at the time that she's saying this, it's like lunchtime, you know. Your OB office is closed during lunch hours. But I'm like, she a doctor. She can do it. But she's like, well, I'm probably not going to be able to get in touch with anybody until after that. So it'll be a little bit after. I'm like, okay, whatever. Just, I get to go home. I can wait out. I can thug out a couple more hours. Not a couple more days. So next thing you know, mind you, she said a few hours. Baby girl came back not even an hour later with discharge papers. I'm like, yes. Y'all, I packed that goddamn room up so goddamn fast. I'm throwing shit away at this point. Like, I don't even care about it. I just want to go home. So I get outside. And mind you, like, I was able to go outside, but I was only able to go outside if I had a visitor and they took me outside. And if I was in pain, I was not allowed to leave my room. So for the first 3.5 to 4 days, I wasn't allowed to go outside. And I had to spend my 24th birthday in there. Like, by far the worst. When my 25th comes, you can't tell me shit. I'm outside, drunk. Don't say nothing to me. You don't even know my name. You feel me? Because I never expected that. Like, I had my birthday planned out and everything. Like, it was just, it's tough. But when they would take my family or someone would come visit me and take me outside, I was basically where I would be sitting down on the benches outside, you know, just trying to get a breath of fresh air because I felt like I was locked and confined into my room. Like, you know, I don't even remember his name at the moment. He was like, I'm locked up, they won't let me out. That's how I felt. I sung that song so many times I was in hospital because that's how I felt. I was locked up and they wouldn't let me out. Like, they really didn't have a specific date when they was going to let me go if I was still there to this day. It wasn't no, like, particular day when they was going to let me leave. They're like, you just gonna be here because we don't know when your baby gonna come. Whenever he come is when you gonna leave, and we don't know when that's gonna be. And it's like, that's the worst thing to hear. You don't know when you're gonna leave. That's worse than being in jail. At least they tell you, like, you locked in for life. You got 60 days, 90 months. Like, they couldn't tell me nothing. I'm like, this is crazy. But I'll go down there and sit outside, and I would just get to watch people leave. And they have this smile on their face. They'll be so happy. And I'm just sitting there in a wheelchair like this. Like, you son of a... Like, I want to go home. Like, put me in the trunk or something. Dang. Then the food was nasty. Can't even tell you how much money I spent on food while I was there. But, yeah, it was just the worst. It was a very bad experience. Like, I don't want to go back. like, barely can be breathing. I don't want to go back to the hospital when I'm not. And I ain't talking about when I'm pregnant. I'm talking about when I'm not pregnant and I just can't even breathe. I don't even want to go to the hospital because I'm scared they're going to admit me. Because out of my 24 years of breathing on this God Green's earth, I ain't never been admitted to the hospital, and I don't recommend it. 8 days in the hospital felt like 80. So I was in there, mind y'all, from June 8th up into June 16th. Too long. But my baby is good. He's okay. And now you just see him in my room. And y'all, my first night home, I couldn't sleep. It's like I got to transition back to being used to being home, because when I got home, I wasn't even used to being home. I'm used to being in the hospital at this point. But I am definitely grateful, and my son knew better than let that stuff leak out of me, because I was ready to go. Ready to go home. But yeah, this is the video that everybody's been waiting for, and this was overwhelming telling y'all, because I don't think I'm going to really tell this story ever again. So if anybody ever want to know the story, I'm just going to send them this link, like, go check it out. Because I'm not telling the story again. I'm just going to let the past be the past, and I'm going to move forward into my pregnancy and enjoy this with my baby. Because it's just too much. It's a very bad experience that nobody would ever want to go through. So yeah, you guys, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and turn on your post notifications and hit that bell. And thank you.